Is this an ordinary stone? I know that this is an extraordinary tool to help you grow your business. How? Placed in an outstretched hand, it becomes a storytelling stone. Whoever holds the stone has voice. And the stone seems to pulsate a promise. Go ahead, tell your story. They're listening, and it's really important. A stone can do that. Well, wouldn't you think that businesses would embrace this stone then and start placing it in the hands of their partners and leaders and employees, suppliers and customers to ask the question, tell me, how does this product work? Or what makes you proud to work here? Whoever holds the stone has voice, and everyone else listens. I didn't invent the storytelling stone. In fact, we'd need to credit our earliest ancestors, for they likely met together, would bring their problems of the day, and the stone would pass from hand to hand. And as the members would hear, they might also have a story, something similar that they experienced, and perhaps a solution to go with it. The storytelling stone is a tool to hear voices from hand to hand, to generation to generation. I've been using the storytelling stone in workplaces, telling stories to adults for over 20 years now. And I know that it has remarkable powers. When it's placed in a leader's hand and they're willing to reveal something about themselves, it can have an extraordinary impact on people, because then you choose to want to follow someone once you hear their story. And I've been using it with collaborative groups that are grappling with some sort of problem. And I'll share a story that's, well, usually it has relevance. One of my favorite stories is actually the movie Shrek. And Shrek is rather an unlikely character to be Prince Charming. And he was an ogre who was just quite happy and content to be living in the swamp when external forces changed all that for him and sent him off on this quest that he did not choose, to rescue a princess that he had no intentions of falling in love with. And what I tend to do is I ask groups, well, what does the story, how is the story like the problem that you're grappling with right now? So stories work because they mirror real life. And if you look at the story, it has several layers. So in Shrek, there's a classic line where he tells Donkey that ogres are like onions because they have layers. Well, stories are like onions because they have several layers. And when we return to the story, what we see is a new insight waiting for us. All the stories in the past, the universe is full of stories, help to reveal little clues, things that we can take away and implement. So storytelling can be an innovation tool. But let me show you with a story. How about sit back and just let this story wash over you. It is written by Gordon Mackenzie, and he's the author of Orbiting the Giant Hairball. Picture a prehistoric family whose home is a cave. Just outside the mouth of the cave is a spring-fed stream. Anytime any member of this community is thirsty, all they have to do is just go a few steps, get down on hands and knees, lower their heads to the water, and drink. Convenient, yes, but highly dangerous, for watering places have always hosted marauding carnivores in search of their next meal. As the sun rises, the matriarch of this long ago community awakens from a deep sleep. She stands, she stretches, and she moans, "I am so thirsty." She walks to the edge of the cave and takes a few steps, and the silence of the morning is broken by a throaty growl. Fear pulls her back into the safety of the cave, and she waits and waits. Eventually, thirst overcomes fear, and she makes her way as quietly as possible to the stream. She kneels down, She lowers her head and she sees her own reflection staring back at her. And it reminds her of her sister, lost to a meat eater. Her head similarly bent not so long ago. The matrix back straightens. But as if some quiet impulse takes over, her palms facing up, fingers slightly curled, she dips her hand into the current of the stream, brings it up to her mouth, and takes a drink, all the while scanning the beauty but danger-filled terrain. Her thirst now quenched, she returns to the safety of the cave. And she wonders at what has just happened to her. She looks at her hands as marvels, and she cups them together and uncups them again and again and again. I've just invented the container, she thinks, and she makes a plan. I will gather clay, and I will fashion the clay into hands like these, and I will bake them on the fire until they are hard. And when it is safe, I will go to the stream and collect water and bring it back to the safety of the cave. And that way, no one will risk their life each and every time they are thirsty. Welcome back to the 21st century workplaces that are also in desperate need of innovation, not as a perk, but to survive. We need more imaginative thought. We need to be looking at angles and layers and exploring possibilities. Stories help us to do that. The marauding carnivores, they have just shifted. They've changed shape. They are now threats and opportunities. Why not explore them so we face our fears and we embrace our passions? You have just experienced a glimpse of PACE. PACE I am proud to have created. It's a one-day program, a training program, but it's also a standalone training and development tool in cards, 52 cards that help develop the innovator within. Think of PACE as 4 innovation practices. P is for pay attention, so that we can have a mindfulness around engaging in reflective thinking, so that we can put together a thoughtful plan. And the A is for action, to roll up our sleeves and make good things happen. And the C is compassion, for inspired leadership always matters, always. And the last is E, and it is my favorite. It is expression. We need to get better at collaborating and creating a container, so to speak, or safe place where we can come and gather and share our stories and our experiences and even admit to making a few mistakes and learning from each other. It's time for me to pass the stone. Everyone loves a story, and I'm here to help you experience the beauty and the richness of story and get it working in your business.